You knew what a character he was. You knew how talented he was. You knew how funny he was. You knew how what a great friend he was. To all the people that he knew. So always these things come as a surprise. We're not really ready for it. Bruce had kind of been, declining for a while, and so, it comes eventually, but it comes with great sadness, for myself, for Diana, his wife, for everyone. So I have cobbled together this extemporaneously a little slideshow that I'm going to narrate, and then I'm going to open it up to people that might want to also, share a story about Bruce, because there are many stories and many good ones. But I'm gonna sit down here at my computer and talk while I do it. So Bruce was the son of Mark Barker and Jim Barker. They met in North Carolina. She was from Florida, but they were both going to school there. He was going to North Carolina. She went to Duke. They married and then moved to Orlando when Mark got a job as the first production manager of WDBO Channel 6. They moved to Florida, they multiplied. Two things popped out. I was the first one and Bruce was the second one. Mark worked at Channel 6 and then left Channel 6 with his friend Don McAllister, and they opened McAllister Barker Advertising and went many, many years and had a really successful run as an ad agency. Jim started out as a housewife, but wasn't really that happy in that singular role, and so she worked for the Florida Symphony for many years. She worked for a travel agency for a while, and then opened her own travel agency and continued that for many years. We kind of continued on until I was about in junior high, and we had another person show up, Don Gibby. He came, he lived with us for a year. We loved him, and my parents formally adopted him. And so he became our brother. And I think that his wife Patty and his daughter Shannon may be here today. They were on my list, but I haven't seen or talked to them. Mark and Jim are no longer with us. They died a number of years ago. Don, I'm sad to say, died just not long ago. And we're really sad about that. And then there was one other family member. My father remarried Jordy Bellman and had another son, Mike. And so he's my and Bruce's half brother, and he is here with us today as well. In his young days, characteristics of Bruce came out immediately. His obsessive personality was seen at a young age. Here, obsessively watering, and later obsessively exercising. And of course, he was working out so that he could go into the first love of his life, and that is driving quarter midget race cars. My dad, who was into racing, came upon this car and it was kind of old and beat up, but he bought it, got his mechanic friend to work on it, and we were racing. We were the Tar Heel team. And so every Sunday, it was down there at Lake Fairview, we raced, or, Bruce raced, and I was, the part of the crew, pit crew. But it turned out that Bruce was a competitive son of a gun, and he was a hell of a racer, and he had a fast car. So he was the dude for many years down there at Lake Fairview, and it was so much fun. That obsession then moved to surfing. And this was partly my fault. I got into surfing and ended up actually having a surf shop in college. I mean in high school. And I tell people that I learned how to lose money at a young age, and then carried that through the rest of my life. And but I sold boards that were made in Florida, Holmesy. And so this is Bruce with his first Holmesy. And we're packing up the car, and that's my grandmother's push-button Valiant that I inherited, and that I actually drove to Woodstock with my two friends, Danny Bishop and Fisher. Yes, the real Woodstock. As I run through the photographs that Diana gave me, one of the things that just became so apparent was Bruce's love of cats. And Bruce loved cats, not just loved cats. Bruce actually, bonded with cats. And there were certain cats that he could tell you that he bonded in this unique way with over his lifetime. But you can see that this love is something that really started young. That's Charcoal, and that is one of the cats that Bruce would tell you that he had a deep bond with. And you can kind of see it there. But you can just see the love, that he has. And of course, that love continued into it.
Love?
So, as Bruce was about to get out of high school, and I was, I think, just in college, we took a trip with my mom. As I told you, my mom was a travel agent, and one of the things that she always wanted to do was take us to Europe. And so we went on this, I think it was a 4 or 5 week trip. It was so much fun. And so it was just a pivotal time for us. And this is Bruce, kind of looking like a British rock star with my mom. I was just getting into photography at that time. And so these are some of my earliest portraits that I did of Bruce from that trip. But it was so much fun. And I think one of the things Bruce discovered was that he loved England and he loved Guinness. So this was one of his seminal sittings for me in my early photography days, with the Guinness shirt, the hat that he got from London. But Bruce, he was, I think anyone that knew him knew that he was such an entertainer. He just could entertain a room at any time. And so I think that aspect of him is what took him to Rollins College as a theater major. And so he enrolled in Rollins College, he became a theater major, and as he, developed in his acting, he got incredible opportunities like this one. And it just got, bigger from there. And And one of the things that he did was he ran for, I have to look at this, off-campus student body president. And this was his poster, and he was the no bull candidate. It was from the poster. But yeah, it was kind of a spoof. You know, he didn't like, I talked to Diana about this morning. He didn't like the way that the real president did not really address the off-campus students. And so he created this new position that he ran for. But I guess one of the things that we started to see of Bruce when he was in college was his obsessive quality. Because Bruce, when he got into something, he got into it, like all into it. And so for graduation, Bruce did an hour and a half monologue, a Lenny Bruce monologue, hour and a half. And I mean, he was Lenny Bruce doing it. And it was really incredible. And the other obsession that Bruce had at this time, which all people that know him will remember, Bruce loved music, he loved Ian Anderson. And so, for about a year, Bruce dressed like Ian Anderson, had hair like Ian Anderson, could play the flute as good as Ian Anderson, and essentially was Ian Anderson. So as he graduated, he decided that he wanted to get into the film industry. And to get into the film industry, you gotta go to California, right? And so Bruce was off to California. And he got a position with ABC as a page. And you could tell by this photograph that he gave it everything he had. And really, I mean, we had a long discussion about this, and he went there and he was going to give it everything he had because he wanted to move up the chain and make it happen. And so he just let it be known, you know, he would do anything. He would, I mean, if they needed something, he would do it. In the middle of the night, first thing in the morning, drive 100 miles, Bruce will do it. And so it didn't take too long before the director of the Barney Miller Show decided, we want this kid over here. And they asked them to move Bruce onto their show. And so Bruce was working the Barney Miller Show. And he worked it for a while. I mean, Blake, his friend that he lived with, is here, and he can probably tell you how long he did that. But, you know, it was hard work, and it was low pay, and so eventually he succumbed to pilfering Wide World of Sports jackets and selling them on Venice Beach to make ends meet. I'm just kidding. But I think in the end, you know, it didn't really become what he wanted it to become. And so he moved home and he decided, I'm going to move back and I'm going to start my own business. And that is what he did. He came back to Orlando, Florida, Leonard Park, and he started the Film and Tape Associates. And he did this for pretty much the rest of his life. He ran this business. And he was just damn good. He borrowed money from his grandmother, took out a loan with her, and got the equipment that he needed, and he dove in. And I think, you know, people that know Bruce know that, you know, when that guy is on it, man, he's on it. And so he had a great eye, but he was also technically really, really proficient. So he did ad work. This guy is Gary Kearns, who ran a big ad agency in town. And so Bruce did a lot of ad work with him. He worked with movie stars. This guy is Jim Gammon, and Jim was a really known actor. He was in Cool Hand Luke and Silverado, and was kind of known as Lou Brown, the manager in Major League and Major League 2. But Bruce, did work with him. And he won awards. He was recognized. He was really the dude in town. And kind of continued that on. In his later time, he worked with John Cobert, who is here today, of Cobert Communications, and they put on big shows. And Bruce, as you can see, was thrilled to work with him, and always providing the backstage entertainment. But Bruce kind of, started working with him, and that relationship went on, for decades, really through the end of his life. And I think he, developed just another whole group of friends in that work environment. But I need to back up just a minute, because if we go back to those early days of the Film and Tape Associates, Bruce got a little job, and he was working for a young woman, and they worked on that job, and then they were never apart from that time. Diana Ellis took his heart and kept it the rest of his life. They got married in 1987, and they had 36 years of marriage.
That's a big
Oh, I'm sorry. I fell asleep. It fell asleep. There we go. So in Diana, Bruce found someone that shared his worldview, his love of cats, and his willingness to help people who needed help. It was just one of those rare marriages. And of course, the other big aspect of Bruce's life were his friends. And this is the crew from his wedding, and this kind of is his core group of friends here, who kind of remain his core group of friends for the remainder of his life. And friendship to Bruce was a big deal, and Bruce was fiercely loyal to his friends and would do anything for them, and I think all the people here would testify to that. Bruce Blackton, who was the best man there, was a longtime dear friend of Bruce's, and we always called them the two Bruces, because in my surfing days, I was the only guy of all my friends that had a car. So I would get up, and I had a surf shop, so I would always go surfing and then get back, to open the shop. So I would get up at like 3 in the morning, load those two guys in the car with their boards, and then drive all over town picking everybody up so that we could be at the beach at sunrise, surf for about 3 hours, and then come home and I'd open the surf shop. And we did that every single day in the summertime. But Bruce, almost was, kind of half lived at our family. Their house was just down the street on Lake Silver. But he was a dear lifelong friend. And then this is the whole crew here. So this is Bruce and Judy, Randy Waterhouse and Evie, Ricky Waterhouse and Cora, Tom Waters and Claudia, and the only person that isn't here is
was
John
there.
Schweitzer. But these were Bruce's core and deep, deep friends, and it's a friendship that lasted forever. They played many a mean game of Michigan poker that you can see over here, and I didn't know, but I guess Bruce took it like so serious that he would literally like get teary-eyed if he didn't win. And Bruce and Schweitzer would play this World War II game that was this like massive game that was spread out over tables and took like days to a week to play to conclusion, and they would literally like play all day and night for days. So back to Bruce's obsession. So Bruce, what a guy, crazy guy, beautiful guy, love him to death, and I'm gonna be, there's a hole in my heart that's never gonna heal. But the last thing that I want to leave with you is this. Bruce, as he was sick, decided that he wanted to leave something for his friends, for my kids and their kids, so they might know who this guy was. And so he made a series of videos, and it's on YouTube, and it's called My Thoughts from Tumor Town on YouTube. So if you can remember that, and if you forget, email me or Diana and we'll remind you. But if you put in My Thoughts from Tumor Town, Bruce Barker, in YouTube, you will come to his channel, and he has all these videos that he did during his illness, talking about all kinds of stuff, politics, memories. I mean, they're really great. And the one on cats, that's a classic. I mean, he really talks about all the cats and his feelings about cats and the special cats, and it's just so beautiful. So anyway, thank you for listening to my musings, and again, thank you all just for coming and sharing this time remembering Bruce. It means so much to all of our families that are here.
Great.
Anybody who wants to say anything to please come up and do so. Leave it open for you.
Everybody, we've got somebody that's going to say something here.
Good evening. This is working. My name is Terry Mendel, and my family has known the Barkers from way, way back. And I came in late. I was on the road a few hours to get here.
She lives in Sebring.
Yeah, in Sebring, which is where Jim McRae was from. And she and my mother were very, very good friends. And Jim McRae really adopted my younger sister, Judy Hyman. And Judy can be very, very difficult. And she doesn't like her big sister telling her how to do anything. So Diana and Bruce adopted her for all these years. And she was difficult with them too.
Capital T.
Yeah. So when you were mentioning about Bruce and Diana being such giving people, I can attest to that. They have been angels to my sister Judy, and I just will never be able to tell you how much I appreciate that. So wonderful to be here.
Thank you for
that? I'm the mysterious Blake from California, although I live in Tallahassee now. So I'll tell you a little bit about the missing 2 years of Bruce's life. When he sojourned west, and he did come out to make his fame and fortune in the broadcast industry. He came to California. He had the advantage of having one of his cousins who lived out there, a guy named Stuart Russell, who couldn't be here. He lives in California still. He wanted to be remembered to Bruce and everybody here. But Bruce came, and everything was on a budget. There is no question about that. To a point where he had a one-bedroom apartment, and I was in need of a roommate, was a friend of Stuart's from college. So we shared a one-bedroom apartment. Now, I slept in the living room. He had the bedrooms. But we did any number of different things. While he was a page at ABC and trying to climb the ladder and was doing everything he could at Barney Miller, I was still selling stereos at Pacific Stereo. I don't know if anybody remembers that company. And after a while, he became needing of some extra capital, so we got him a sales job at Pacific Stereo. And boy, Bruce is a natural salesman. You came in there, you went home with something. But he did so many other things. The food, he had a musical side to him. And another friend of mine, Peter Submergin, who I'd gone to Germany with, we got him to get an apartment in the same building. And he and Peter started a band, the Penny Loafers, is what they called it. And my lousy voice tried to audition, but there was no way. They found somebody else to be the voice, but they did music in Peter Submergin's studio. And he enjoyed that immensely. He would write the music and they would perform it and so forth. But also something else that was dear to his heart was trying to do the film industry. So he got, his grandmother must have been one wonderful lady, because he got a $5,000 loan from her to put together a film. And he created, with the actors from Barney Miller, and some of the people, the stagehands, the makeup artists, all those people donated their time to make this short film that he did. There's a booklet over there with some of the pictures from it. He wrote it. It's a Gatsby type theme to it, and created this short film. And it was 29 minutes long or something. I think I got in there as the executive director only because I was in the same apartment as him. I had to have some role. But we got in a movie theater, the Rialto Theater in Pasadena, for a week. And so it was nominated to go and be considered for the Academy Awards. I never got, into voting or anything, but it was nominated to be a short film for the Academy Awards. So there was some film success that he had in California when he was there. And some of the things that he learned, I think he came back with in Florida, and he had knowledge because he was obsessive about learning constantly. And that's what he brought to Film and Tape Associates and made it successful. Bruce will be missed. He and I, 47 years, we've known each other. And he is everything everybody's talking about.
Thank you.
Hello? My name's John Coburn, and I represent the last of Bruce's various careers, apparently. So during our time working together, Bruce was a video engineer and a video director. He was part of a group of us that provide audio-visual support for the corporate meetings industry. On our jobs, Bruce was always a very valuable member of the group. He was always one of the first to show up in the morning. He was always one of the last to leave at the end of the day. And he would continue to set things up, making things better, neater, and more efficient. Amongst our core group, Bruce was known as Bubba. And Bubba was not just a nickname, I'll tell you what. So Bruce created this goofy character he referred to as Bubba. This alter ego would spring out from time to time, helping to break up the day. Bubba had a certain look, and that's an understatement. Bruce would hike up his pants so that his belt was just below his chest, about here. He'd push his long, scruffy hair forward, pushing his trusty baseball cap down over the bushy mess to form a lion's mane around his face. He'd pull his socks over his pants, his pant legs, and finally he would hunch over and kick in with this over-the-top Southern accent and talk about whatever happened to come to mind. During a hectic load-in, Bruce's antics would take the edge off of often an overly serious day. And I believe Bruce did many of the same things for me in my life. He'd often be the first to show up when I needed him. He'd be the last to leave, making sure everything was all right. And with or without the aid of Bubba, he'd always make me laugh when I needed him. Bruce performed many different roles during our jobs. Things were almost always different from show to show. But one thing was always the same. Bruce would leave each show knowing that his favorite cat, TJ, would be waiting for him at home. Bruce said TJ would give him the cold shoulder at first, upset that Bruce had left him the previous week. But then Bruce would start to glow as he explained TJ would eventually come around, snuggling up in my lap, and he'd begin to purr. So that's how I'm choosing to remember my friend Bruce. Off somewhere, in a comfortable chair, with his favorite cat TJ purring in his lap.
I have to tag on to that one because I got a bump story. So I'm Mark. I'm Bruce's half brother, and despite the brother title, Bruce didn't like kids as much as he liked cats, and so I spent a good portion of my life knowing Bruce as just the cantankerous bastard that would show up for various holidays. And it's only later in my life and his that I've really learned so much about his journey. And the glimpses that I got of it really began with taxes, of all things. Because as some of you may know, Bruce did taxes for Kent and a number of firms. Right, I see some hands, right? And so I was surprised when I had kind of a tax issue, and I was told to go to Bruce. And I went to Bruce, and sure enough, taxes is the last thing I ever want to touch. And people get paid a lot of money to deal with this. And this guy is offering the most thoughtful advice so generously, and doing this for a ton of people in his life. And it really opened my eyes to Bruce as this hard-shelled candy that can be a little rough on the outside, but is just incredibly sweet and generous on the inside. And it really came to life with Bubba, because my mom spent the last 10 years of her life with Alzheimer's. Both of them are gone now, but I know my mom and Bruce famously got along in their younger years. So those stories are probably lost at this point. But as my mom began her Alzheimer's journey, I think very much like we just described Bubba, you know, we would have these awkward, stressful moments. And what did Bruce pull out? With this Southern character that was absolutely over the top. And it would take her from kind of anxious and confused to absolutely hysterically belly laughing till the day she died. Those are some of the best moments of joy she had towards the end. And I'll just forever be grateful to Bruce for his generosity and his humor, and we're really going to miss him.